Exposed. The heartwarming journey of a girl overcoming a cruel stepmother's life-changing impact. Emily's heart raced as she entered the diner. A whirlwind of energy and vulnerability. The smell of sizzling bacon wafted through the air, mingling with laughter and chatter from the regulars that made the small-town diner feel alive. But beneath this lively surface lay the weight of her existence, heavy and suffocating. A glance at the front door reminded her of Linda, her cruel stepmother, always waiting, ready to pounce with her biting remarks that stung like a bee. As she poured coffee, Emily's mind drifted to memories of her mother's warm embrace. It felt like a dream now, lost in the fog of time. Nobody in the diner knew how, despite the smile she wore, her heart ached with a longing to feel whole again. At 16, the world outside felt vast and hopeful. Yet the walls of her home closed in tighter every day. "Watch it, Emily." Linda's voice cut through her thoughts like a knife. The patrons looked up, concern flickering in their eyes. Emily forced a smile as she refrained from rolling her own. "Sorry, Linda," she chimed, doing her best to hide the lump swelling in her throat. As much as she shoved her frustrations away, they bubbled just beneath the surface. She couldn't let Linda crush her spirit. Her escape moments came with every friendly smile tossed her way. Mr. Thompson, the elderly war veteran who frequented the diner, seemed to always sense her struggle. "You're brighter than that storm cloud above, Emily," he often said, a twinkle in his eye. "Don't let anyone dull your shine." His words wrapped around her like a warm blanket, a contrast to the coldness of her home life. The twinkling lights of hope shone brighter whenever he made a joke. Just having him around became a lifeline for Emily. But it wasn't enough to shield her from Linda's relentless negativity. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Just as flickers of hope ignited within her, they were snuffed out by Linda's venomous tongue. She marched into Emily's world like a walking storm, undermining her every effort, deliberately sabotaging her dreams of college. "You're not good enough for that scholarship," she spat one evening. Emily felt her insides twist, a punch to the gut. Doubts flooded her mind, but amidst the chaos, the whispers of her community wrapped around her. As the scholarship competition deadline approached, despair clawed at Emily. Her dreams felt as distant as the stars in the night sky. Yet, something inside her surged forth, the same fire Mr. Thompson had recognized in her. She refused to surrender. With trembling hands, she opened her laptop, pouring her heart into her applications. But just when she thought she might break free, the tension with Linda reached a breaking point. Emily trembled, letting the words that had been bottled up inside explode. "I am more than your constant criticism," she shouted, standing tall. The diner fell silent, every pair of eyes turning toward them. To her surprise, applause came from a few patrons. The same townsfolk who had quietly cheered her on from afar were risen in solidarity. In that moment, the glimmer of her dreams brightened. But with the scholarship competition looming, could she harness that spark and truly break free? Would she rise above the cruelty, defy the odds, and claim her future? The air crackled with possibilities as she prepared to fight for everything she desired. As the applause faded, Emily's heart thudded wildly in her chest. A wave of warmth seeped into her, mixing with a fierceness she had never known before. She stood, breathless and trembling, amidst the familiar faces of the diner. Mr. Thompson beamed at her, his pride flickering like the fluorescent lights above. But every glorious moment was immediately clouded by Linda's icy glare. "How dare you embarrass me in front of those losers?" Linda hissed, her voice sharp enough to cut through the atmosphere. The diner, usually a haven, felt like a prison at that moment. Emily's blood ran cold, and the warmth she'd felt evaporated. "I'm tired of being your punching bag, Linda," Emily said, her voice firmer than she expected. It was like an otherworldly confidence surged through her. The taste of resolve didn't come without the threat of consequences hanging in the air. She could sense it. Linda's reaction would not be gentle. But before any retort could leave Linda's mouth, Mr. Thompson intervened, stepping forward. He had always been her guardian angel in the diner. Now listen here, young lady, he admonished, turning toward Linda. No one deserves to be treated like that. Emily has more courage in her little finger than you apparently do. Why don't you take a lesson from her? Linda's face twisted, her cheeks flushed with rage. Emily watched the tension, her heart racing. It felt like a pivotal moment, the kind that belonged in the movies. She could sense the diner leaning in, supportive energy radiating from every corner. The patrons who had once been just faces now felt like a crowd behind her. Let us go, Linda snapped, marching toward the exit, but Emily stood her ground. Wait! You don't get to walk away, she shouted, the words tumbling out before she could stop them. There was no turning back now. She took a few steps toward her stepmother, the room buzzing with an electrifying tension. I'm not afraid of you anymore. I will pursue that scholarship. I will find a way out. With each word she felt lighter, freer. The constraints of her old life pressed against her like a forgotten weight. Linda turned abruptly, face still red with resentment. You'll see. You'll regret this. No one is going to help you, least of all me, she snarled before slamming the door behind her. The diner erupted into murmurs, a mixture of shock and encouragement. Emily stood in the center of it all, blood coursing with adrenaline. She had survived that confrontation. And yet, the silence left in Linda's wake felt ominous. Emily, that was amazing, Mr. Thompson said, awe in his eyes. Other patrons nodded, offering her kind smiles and gentle applause. In that moment, the community swept around her like a shield, each warm response fueling her determination. But despite the victory, anxiety prickled at the edges of her joy. What would become of her if Linda retaliated? What if her door to escape was firmly locked? With the scholarship deadline looming, the pressure mounted as she felt a flicker of doubt creeping back in. And yet, deep inside, she found reassurance in the laughter and clinking silverware surrounding her. They had her back. As she sank back into her duties, pouring coffee and taking orders, she couldn't help but wonder, could she truly secure that scholarship? Did she possess the strength to rewrite her future and step away from the shadows of her past? The clock ticked mercilessly, counting down the days until the fateful decision. But in a place of laughter and warmth, she allowed hope to ignite once more. What if this was only the beginning? Would the world see her as she saw herself? The real Emily, unshakable and full of possibility? The weeks rolled by, each day stretching into the next like the endless refills of coffee at the diner. Emily found her rhythm, juggling orders and managing the flow of patrons who had grown more familiar and warm. Each mug she poured felt like a little victory, a reminder of the support surging around her. Yet, as the sun dipped below the horizon each evening, the shadows lurking within her life began to grow longer once more. She couldn't shake the feeling that Linda was still lurking, waiting for the perfect moment to strike again. Emily could see it in her mind clearly, the raised eyebrow, the cold smile that told her nothing was forgotten. Sometimes, as she wiped down the countertops, she could almost hear Linda's voice echoing her doubts, taunting her. Mom's right, her classmates said, you'll never make it out of this town. Her heart felt heavy with uncertainty, but she pushed through. She maintained her focus on the scholarship, pouring every ounce of energy into her application, practicing speeches in front of the mirror until her lips tinged soft from the constant repetition. Each night ended with frayed nerves, but dawn brought a flicker of persistence. One chilly evening, as the diner buzzed with laughter and the clinking of forks against plates, Emily noticed a newcomer at the booth in the back. He was young, late teens, just like her, but his eyes held a depth that felt like an unturned page of a book. She couldn't help but be drawn to him, his focus on a notebook filled with scrawled words and sketches. Something about him felt different, detached from the noise around them. Can I get you anything? She asked, breaking through his concentration. He looked up, surprise dancing across his face. Oh, just a coffee, thanks. As she poured his drink, she felt an unexpected surge of courage. I'm Emily, by the way. You're new around here? Yeah, just visiting, he replied, a hint of a smile curving his lips. Thought I'd check out the famous diner everyone talks about. She chuckled lightly, feeling a small spark of connection. Famous for the coffee or the people? Both probably, he said, glancing around. There was an energy in him she hadn't seen in a while, a raw honesty that brought comfort. Name's Jason, he said, extending a hand. Their hands met briefly, sending a jolt through her. She felt something shift inside her, as if a door slightly creaked open and light poured through the cracks. Maybe he could reflect the future she craved. They talked, exchanging stories between sips of coffee. Emily found herself sharing her dreams, her ambitions so easily, as if they were breathing life into something she long kept hidden. Jason listened intently, his warm smile encouraging her words to spill freely. But just as quickly as the conversation turned to hopeful tomorrows, a shadow swept into her consciousness. Linda's chilling voice rang in her head. "What makes you think you can escape?" Suddenly, the diner doors swung open, and in walked Linda, her presence instantly dimming the vibrant atmosphere. Jason stiffened, his smile faltering as he caught sight of her. Emily's heart raced, an instinctive fear rising in her chest. "What are you doing here?" Emily blurted, her words sharper than intended. This is where you work." Linda's eyes surveyed the diner, lingering, challenging. "I thought you were supposed to be at home." "I'm fine here," Emily replied, trying to stand tall, defiance creeping back into her voice. Jason shifted uncomfortably, sensing the tension. Linda, however, wasn't willing to let this moment slip. "You're wasting your time. You think they care about you?" "You think," but the patrons around them began to murmur, glancing at each other in concern. Mr. Thompson caught Emily's eye and nodded, silently reminding her that she wasn't alone. With the warmth of the diner at her back, Emily locked eyes with Linda, her voice steady. "You don't get to decide what happens to me. I'm not afraid anymore." The defiance in her voice rang out, fueled by the sudden unity surrounding her. Linda scoffed, but there was a flicker of caution now. "What happens next?" Jason asked softly, tilting his head toward her. The air turned thick. Emily had no answers, only a determination flickering like a flame. She stood eye to eye with the woman who had sought to control her life. For the first time, the question surfacing wasn't whether she could escape, but how far she was willing to fight for her future. A path lay ahead, but it twisted into the darkness of uncertainty, and all she could feel was holding her breath. What now? Would the power of her voice be enough to drown out the past and carve a future bright with possibility? Emily could feel the heat of Linda's glare even from across the diner. It was like a spotlight had been turned on her, and the shadows that had felt somewhat manageable just moments ago began to creep closer. The murmurs of the patrons faded into a hum in her ears, and all she could focus on was the fire igniting in her chest. For the first time in years, she felt her spirit rising against the weight of fear and doubt. Linda took a step forward, a calculated move that made Jason instinctively shift in his seat, unsure if he should intervene. "You think this little world of yours can protect you? It's a nice fantasy, Emily. But the truth is inevitable." "Not if I fight for it," Emily shot back, the strength in her voice surprising even herself. It was a glimmer of bravery she rarely let shine through. The diner held its breath, as if waiting to see what would happen next. Linda smirked, the kind of smile that sent chills spiraling down Emily's spine. "Fight all you want. You'll always be that little girl I can manipulate. Don't forget who raised you. I'm not your puppet anymore," Emily exclaimed, feeling every electric nerve in her body come alive. She'd spent too long letting Linda's influence dictate her life. The words spilled out before she could second-guess herself. "I'm stronger than you think." With a flicker of defiance, she looked to the crowd faces that had been a source of comfort and connection for her. Mr. Thompson gave her an encouraging nod, while Mrs. Carter, the usual gossip queen, didn't have a single word on her lips. Their silent support wrapped around her like a warm blanket, pushing her against the chill emanating from Linda. "Are you really going to stand here and listen to her?" Linda continued, her voice dripping with condescension. "You're all just encouraging her delusions." Jason's brow furrowed as he processed the brewing storm, and he leaned forward. "Emily, you're not alone. You have people here who care about you. Don't let her poison this." His words ignited a renewed determination inside her. It wasn't just about her anymore. It was about proving not only to Linda but to herself that she was worth standing up for. "What do you want from me?" Emily challenged, feeling her pulse quicken. "Why can't you just let me live my life?" "Because nothing about your life is worth living without me," Linda snapped. "I've kept you going, shaped you into who you are. You owe me." "No," Emily insisted, her voice steady. "I owe it to myself to be happy and free. I will break this cycle." Linda looked around the diner, her confidence faltering for the first time, as if she was witnessing a reality she hadn't anticipated. The patrons were no longer watching in silence. They were standing against her with unwavering eyes. The tension hung in the air like a storm cloud waiting to explode, and Emily turned back to Jason, who watched her with an earnest intensity. It struck her then that this was more than a battle against Linda. It was a battle for her future, something she wanted desperately to grasp. And just as a tense quiet fell, the diner door swung open again, this time revealing a figure that rocked Emily's world anew. It was Leo, her childhood friend, someone who always had a knack for finding her when she needed it the most. His eyes darted to Linda, and in that moment, she knew the storm inside the diner was about to break. "Emily," Leo called, his voice cutting through the tension. "I heard what happened. What's going on?" Everything froze. And as the air thickened, the question echoed in her heart. Was this the moment everything changed? Was she finally brave enough to let the light in? She glanced at Jason, then back to Leo, feeling a rush of emotions collide. One thing was clear. She couldn't allow the past to dictate her future. But as fears crept in again, so did the realization that this battle wasn't only hers to fight. "Look, I'm ready to do what it takes," she finally said, swallowing hard. "But I need help." In that heartbeat of vulnerability, Emily knew this was the turning point. Could she rally her friends and the diner community around her? Would they help her stand against Linda's venomous grip? The silence filled with promise and dread, and as eyes locked on her, one question loomed larger than before: how far would she go in this fight for her freedom? Leo stepped into the diner like a breath of fresh air, his eyes wide with concern and determination. The atmosphere crackled with tension, the air thick with the shared silence that felt almost sacred. As Emily absorbed the sight of him, memories surged. The laughter they had shared as kids, the countless adventures, and the support he always offered during her darkest moments. Now here he was, a beacon in her chaos. "Emily, listen to me," Leo began, his voice steady yet urgent. "You don't have to face this alone. This isn't just your battle. It's ours too." He shifted his gaze, addressing Linda as if she were a looming shadow threatening to devour his friend. "You may think you have control over her, but Emily is stronger than you realize." The words hung in the air, and for a moment, even Linda looked momentarily shaken. Her smirk faltered, revealing a sliver of uncertainty. It was that uncertainty that filled Emily with adrenaline. Leo was right. She wasn't just fighting for herself. She was fighting for everyone who believed in her. "Thank you," she said, meeting Leo's intense gaze, feeling gratitude and warmth spreading through her. "But I'm not just going to stand here and let her dictate my life any longer. It's time for me to take a stand." Linda straightened, her posture exuding hostility. "What are you going to do? Cry for help? It won't change a thing, Emily. You'll always be my little girl." "No, I won't," Emily shouted, emotions bubbling to the surface. "I refuse to be defined by you. You don't get to choose how I live my life any longer." Each word felt like a stone hurled at the fortress Linda had built over the years, each one crumbling a piece of her control. The diner erupted into murmurs. Mr. Thompson stood applauding softly, while others echoed the feel-good sentiment with quiet cheers. It was a surge of unity that made the dread loosen its grip. Each voice added to the chorus supporting her, drowning out Linda's venomous whispers. "Emily, you think they care about you?" Linda scoffed, her voice low and biting. "They just pity you. You have no idea what the real world looks like." Emily smiled softly, an unexpected warmth blooming in her chest. "I think they see me for who I am, not who you shaped me to be. I'm done hiding. Today I choose me." With each defiant statement, her heart thundered with newfound strength. It was as if the walls of fear were crumbling, even if the foundation was shaky. But she couldn't stop now. Every fearful thought was now drowned out by hope. Jason, emboldened by the moment, rose too. "We're not here to hold Emily back. We're all rooting for her. And if Linda thinks she can dismiss the people who care about her, she's got another thing coming." He met Emily's eyes, offering unwavering support. The air buzzed with anticipation. But amid the camaraderie, one question lingered in Emily's heart. She felt powerful, but would it be enough? "Let us take a vote. Who stands with Emily?" Leo called out, meeting each pair of eyes in the diner with courage. "I," Mr. Thompson shouted, followed by Mrs. Carter and a chorus of others. Each voice blended into a swell of assurance. For a moment, Emily could almost believe she was dreaming. She felt buoyed up by the belief her community gave her, lifting her beyond the shadows of her past. But in the pit of her stomach, doubts still gnawed, bringing questions to the forefront. Could she truly sever her ties with Linda completely? With uncertainty rushing against her newfound courage, Emily took a deep breath. This isn't just about today. If I step forward, I risk facing what I've buried deep inside. Linda's expression shifted, a flicker of dread dancing across her features, as if she realized her grip was slipping. Just then, Emily felt the weight of the moment. This was the first time she had truly taken her power back. But she knew more challenges awaited. And as she looked around at the supportive faces gathered, she couldn't shake the lingering worry. What would be the cost of her freedom? Would Linda strike back in ways she couldn't anticipate? Together we'll face whatever comes next, Emily whispered to herself, rallying the courage. This is only the beginning, but outside the diner, dark clouds began to gather, hinting at a storm ahead, a storm sharper than anything she had faced before. Would she summon the strength she discovered today when the battle truly began? Emily felt a rush of exhilaration mingled with a deep-seated anxiety, as the realization of her words echoed in her mind. Today was just a small victory, one that she had fought for fiercely, but it was merely the first step down a long, unpredictable road. The support poured in, but with each cheer, a thread of doubt tightened around her heart. As people around her celebrated the moment, Emily cast a cautious glance at Linda. The older woman's eyes burned cold like ice, and Emily could feel the mounting tension in the air. It was as if boiling water simmered just below the surface, waiting for the right moment to erupt. Don't underestimate me, Emily, Linda hissed, her voice low and loaded with an unsettling promise. You've made a mess of things. You think your little friends will protect you? They'll all turn on you when the going gets tough. Emily shivered at the chilling threat, but she refused to show it. You're wrong. This is about my life now, not your control. Her voice trembled still, but she met Linda's gaze with a strength that had felt unreachable just days ago. The diner's atmosphere shifted, alternating between elation and tension. Emily could sense everyone holding their breath, eager to watch how this confrontation would unfold. It was clear they believed in her, and that gave her resolve. Yet, she reminded herself to tread carefully. Linda had been skilled at manipulation, always twisting words into weapons. Jason stepped closer, his presence grounding. Emily's a fighter. We all see it, and we won't back down. His solidarity pierced through the tension, creating a small shield around her. No, Jason. You don't know what she's capable of, Emily whispered, searching his face for understanding. Yet, in the depths of her heart, she longed for him to pull her back and hold her close. But this wasn't about retreating. It was about moving forward. Linda chuckled, a sound devoid of humor. You think they'll stick around when the truth comes out? People love a good scandal, Emily. All it takes is one story. The diner grew silent, her words sinking deep into the fabric of Emily's thoughts. What truth was Linda holding over her? Just then a flicker of fear tried to creep back in, but Emily blocked it. She couldn't let fear dictate her actions anymore. Tell your stories, Linda, Emily replied, voice steady. Everyone already knows what you're capable of. A wave of defiance pulsed through her. Her heart raced, feeling lighter, as she fought to break free from the chains of her past. The diner patrons responded with quiet murmurs of agreement once more. Emily felt the warmth of their support wrapping around her like a hug, shielding her from the chill that lingered with Linda's presence. Let me remind you, Linda shot back, that stories can destroy lives. Don't you dare think for a second that this is going to end well for you. I can make anyone disappear, including your precious little fantasies. Jason clenched his fists. You underestimate people's strength, Linda. Emily isn't alone anymore. He turned to the crowd. None of us are. The murmur of agreement rose again, filling the diner with renewed purpose. But as cheers erupted around her, Emily's heart raced with the weight of Linda's implications. The shadows of her stepmother's threats loomed larger, threatening to eclipse the light she had just begun to grasp. Emily took one last look at Linda, the embodiment of her doubts and fears. A sense of resolve washed over her, a quiet promise lit within. She would not let Linda's dark clouds overshadow this moment. But as night fell and the reality of what lay ahead loomed larger than the doubts within her, Emily found herself asking, how would she protect all she had begun to unravel? Would her newfound strength hold when Linda unleashed the storm? The door creaked as a fresh breeze blew into the diner, hinting at change and uncertainty. And with that, thunder rumbled in the distance, foreshadowing the tempest waiting just around the corner. Would Emily rise to meet it, or would it tear apart the fragile world she had just begun to rebuild? Emily's heart raced as uncertainty crept in like a shadow. She felt the weight of every pair of eyes in the diner, all silently urging her to stand tall. Yet the darkness of doubt threatened to pull her under. Turning away from Linda's icy glare, she fixed her gaze on the booth filled with friends who had rallied for her. Their smiles reminded her that today had been a triumphant moment, but it was hard to shake off Linda's warning. What if she's right? Emily whispered to herself, feeling the anxiety coil tighter around her heart. Jason sensed her hesitation and stepped closer, his voice low but steady. You've come too far to turn back now. Remember why you're doing this. He reached out, giving her shoulder a reassuring squeeze. Her friends echoed stories of courage and resilience, reminding her of all the battles they had fought together. Each story shared around the table filled her with a flicker of joy. It was supposed to be about celebrating that victory, but Linda's shadow loomed larger. As the diner's chatter swelled, Emily felt a pull of warmth wrap around her, but anxiety mixed with excitement like fireworks. Could she really keep facing the tide? Suddenly Linda pushed back her chair, creating a loud jarring scrape against the floor. I've had enough of this charade. Her voice rang with authority, silencing the buzz of conversation. You think you've won? You're merely a pawn in an elaborate game. The room went still, tension crackling like lightning. Emily's thoughts raced. What was Linda planning? Every choice has consequences, Emily, Linda continued, her smile sharp. Don't forget who you're playing with. Emily took a deep breath, recalling her determination. I'm not afraid of your games anymore, Linda. The only thing that matters is how I choose to move forward. Linda's smile faltered just for an instant, but it was enough for Emily to catch a glimpse of the cracks in her icy facade. Look around, Linda said, sweeping her arm dramatically across the diner. These people don't know you. They don't know how the story ends. Yes, they do, shouted a voice from the crowd, a brave teenager named Sarah. A friendship that had once felt distant suddenly felt united. They know that we're standing with her. That's right, another friend shouted, and soon the diner erupted with enthusiastic cheers, filling Emily with resolve. The warmth of their support illuminated the dark corners of her mind. As the cheering subsided, Linda's face turned red with anger. Yet, her posture shifted, almost as if the strength behind her cruelty was fracturing. You think this is all a game? Linda retorted, but there was a tremor in her voice. Game or not, Emily said, I'm writing my own ending. With that, the air shifted, emotions rippling in those gathered around her, faces lit with hope, determination growing like a flame. But as the excitement quieted, Emily knew the real battle was just beginning. Would her courage be enough when the stakes grew higher, or would she find herself cowering under Linda's influence once more? As the last echoes of her friends' cheers faded, a heavy silence blanketed the diner. Thunder rumbled once more outside, a reminder of the storm poised to break. What would tomorrow bring? Emily couldn't shake the feeling that Linda was just biding her time, preparing to unleash the chaos she had promised. The question now loomed, hauntingly clear: would Emily succumb to her fears, or would she discover strength she didn't know she possessed? As rain began to pour against the windows, Emily made a silent vow. She wouldn't let anyone tear her down again. But could she stand tall long enough when the true tempest arrived? The rain continued to pelt against the diner windows, each drop a reminder of the uncertainty swirling in Emily's mind. She could feel the heaviness of Linda's words lingering in the air. The way the room had gone silent when Linda made her accusation felt like a thunderclap, striking fear in the hearts of everyone present. Yet, the warmth of her friend's support ignited a flicker of hope within her. Jason leaned closer, his presence a solid beacon in the storm. Hey, stay with us, he murmured, his brow knitted in concern. This isn't over. Emily took a long breath, trying to steady her racing heart. The cheers had been fierce, but now silence reigned like an unwelcome guest. I know, she replied quietly, feeling her resolve start to waver again. But what if she's right? What if everything she said is true? No one knows you like we do, Sarah chimed in, her eyes alight with fierce loyalty. You're so much more than a title, Emily. You're brave and you have this whole community behind you. Don't let her make you doubt that. Their confidence was like a lifeboat in a stormy sea. But Emily couldn't shake the feeling that Linda wasn't done with her. The diner door swung open suddenly, a gust of wind sweeping in, and for a moment, all she could hear was the torrential downpour and her thudding heartbeat. Linda had stormed out, but she would be back, Emily was sure of it. The way she held the room in her palm, how her presence demanded attention, it wouldn't be long before she made her next move. Emily imagined the gears turning in Linda's mind, plotting her next cruel tactic. Then Jason spoke up, drawing her back to the moment. You have a lot of people here who care about you. This isn't just a battle against Linda. It's about finding your own voice. Right, Emily said, feeling the fire start to rekindle within her. I can't let her think she has control over my life. Their conversation swirled around her, lifting her spirits. Talk turned to future plans and bold dreams, and soon the table was filled with laughter and chatter again. Each word felt powerful, seeping into Emily's skin and easing the tension that threatened to crush her spirit. But even as she tried to immerse herself in their joy, a weight pressed on her chest. What if Linda had something in store that they wouldn't see coming? Emily needed to prepare. What if she figures out a way to turn everyone against me? Or don't go there, Jason interrupted, shaking his head. We handle one day at a time. Whatever she plans, we'll face it together. His steadfastness sparked something deep inside her, a bubbling mixture of gratitude and determination. But fear still nipped at the edges of her mind. As the night wore on, the diner began to fill with the hollow echoes of laughter. Their plans shifted toward escape and discovery, adrenaline mixing with hope as they looked ahead. But Emily could feel it, Linda's shadow still creeping at the corners of her mind, waiting for a moment of vulnerability. With every word exchanged, the feeling of community wrapped around her, urging her to fight back. Yet the specter of her stepmother loomed larger than before. We can't let her win, Sarah declared, slamming her fist lightly on the table. The others nodded in agreement, a chorus of defiance ringing strong. Emily smiled, though doubt lingered. She wouldn't let fear dictate her choices. But as she watched the rain dance against the glass, she wondered what it would take to truly escape from Linda's influence. How could she turn the tide completely? Tomorrow, she would have to confront Linda again, no doubt with a plan that would strike even harder than the last. Would it be enough? Or would she find herself once again ensnared in the web of manipulation? As she surveyed the faces of her friends, she felt the strength they provided. Yet the question loomed. Could she carry that strength with her into the darkness where Linda thrived? Her heart surged with a mix of hope and apprehension. The next confrontation would come soon, and it would change everything. Would she be ready? Emily woke early the next morning, the rain having finally lifted, leaving a crispness in the air that felt different, almost electric. The birds seemed to chirp louder today, as if they were encouraging her on this new venture. But the excitement was mixed with a gnawing anxiety. She knew what was at stake. Today was the day she would face Linda again. As she dressed, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that the weight of the world was on her shoulders. Staring at her reflection, she saw a girl caught between fear and courage. She took a deep breath, straightened her shoulders and stepped out into the sunlight. The diner that had felt so safe just hours before now loomed large in her mind. When she arrived, the familiar creak of the door seemed to echo with her doubts. Jason and Sarah were already inside, discussing strategies like generals in a war room. Their enthusiasm was contagious, but her resolve wavered. Would it be enough? Morning, Jason called, a grin breaking across his face. Ready for a showdown? Not quite, Emily said, forcing a smile. She needed to focus. What's the plan? Listen, Sarah said, her tone serious. We've all seen how Linda works. We need to be ready if she tries to twist things around. Right, Emily agreed, each word sparking a flicker of determination. She'll try to pin me against everyone. But we need to stand united. The three of them sat in a booth going over scenarios. Emily felt the warmth of their friendship wrapping around her like a shield. But in the back of her mind, Linda's voice echoed. You're nothing without me. The diner filled up with regulars, their lives framing her own unfolding drama. A couple at the counter laughed over coffee while an elderly man read the newspaper. It all felt so normal, but today was anything but. Just then the door swung open, and the atmosphere shifted. Linda walked in, radiating confidence as if she owned the place. Her eyes swept across the room and landed on Emily, a smirk curling her lips. "Look who's still pretending to be brave," Linda purred, her voice slicing through the air. The laughter and chatter around them faded, replaced by an uncomfortable hush. Emily's heart pounded, a drumbeat of fear and defiance. But she wouldn't allow Linda's presence to intimidate her. She glanced at Jason and Sarah, their expressions hardened with resolve. "I'm not pretending," Emily replied, trying to inject strength into her voice. "I'm standing up for myself, and I won't let you bully me anymore." For a moment surprise flickered in Linda's eyes, yet she quickly masked it with a laugh. "Stand up for yourself? How cute," she retorted, glancing around at the patrons, searching for allies as if fishing for validation. But this time Emily felt different. She felt the camaraderie of her friends bolstering her. This was not a battle just between her and Linda. It was about everyone who had ever been cowed into silence. "Emily, just remember," Jason whispered, "you're stronger than she thinks." Taking a deep breath, Emily pressed on. "If you think you can drive a wedge between me and my friends, you're wrong. They see me for who I truly am." The room echoed with anxious whispers as Linda narrowed her eyes. "This will be fun," she replied, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Let us see how long your little alliance holds up." Emily's heart raced as Linda turned to leave, but not before glaring at her one last time. The fear that had once consumed her shifted into something different: defiance. Maybe even hope. Her friends surrounded her, their faces a mix of pride and concern. The battle lines were drawn. Linda's intent was clear, but so was Emily's resolve. "Are you ready for whatever comes next?" Sarah asked, genuine curiosity lacing her voice. As the warmth of friendship enveloped her, Emily nodded. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together." But even as she spoke, doubt crept in again. What was Linda really planning? As the three of them regrouped to rally their strength, Emily felt a sense of urgency. She would need every bit of courage she could muster. And just as uncertainty loomed, so did the question. What would happen when strength was tested against manipulation? The sun shone brightly the next morning, illuminating the diner in a way that felt almost surreal. Emily held her breath, stepping inside to greet the familiar smell of coffee and baked goods, but her heart thumped heavily in her chest. Today held the weight of their previous tensions, the calm before a storm. Patrons chatted contentedly, and laughter floated through the air. Yet, Emily felt the electric charge of anticipation swirling around her like a tangible presence. She arrived at her booth to find Jason and Sarah already seated, their faces lit with determination. "Good morning. Let us go over our plan again," Jason urged, his gaze intense yet encouraging. Emily nodded, forcing a smile. "Right. We need to stay united. If she tries to turn everyone against me, we stick together." "Absolutely," Sarah exclaimed. "We can remind the townsfolk of all the good things you've brought here. How brave you've been. You're not the scared girl she wants everyone to think you are." As they strategized, Emily felt a sense of hope igniting within her. But amidst that hope, a flicker of doubt sent shivers down her spine. What if the moment when Linda returned ended in disaster? Suddenly the door swung open. The atmosphere shifted like a scene change in a movie, unsettling and electric. Linda strolled in, exuding confidence as her eyes roamed the diner. "If it is a Cinderella, all dressed up for the ball," she spat, a smirk playing across her lips. The laughter in the room dwindled to mere whispers, eyes shifting between Emily and Linda like spectators at a showdown. Emily's heart raced, but she could feel her friends beside her, grounding her in the storm. She took a deep breath, mustering all the strength that had built during the last few weeks. "You can't intimidate me anymore, Linda. I know who I am and what I want," Emily replied, her voice steady. Linda's brows shot up derisively as she folded her arms. "You think you can stand on that little pedestal and take down everything I've built for you? You're wholly mistaken." The crowd seemed to hold its breath, drawn into the unfolding drama. "No," shouted Sarah, her voice firm and unwavering. "She is so much more than what you made her. This isn't your game anymore." A murmur of agreement flowed through the diner as patrons, emboldening Emily as she latched onto that powerful connection. "Did you hear that, Linda? Everyone here knows what you've done to Emily and they're not standing for it," Jason announced, his tone fierce. For a moment, the smug expression on Linda's face faltered. She glanced around, searching the faces in the diner for allies to bolster her stance, but found none. The support for Emily was palpable, and it emboldened her even further. "Your time is over," Emily declared, finding a new strength bubbling inside her. "I'm reclaiming my life from your manipulation." Linda's eyes narrowed, fury boiling beneath her icy exterior. "Is that so? You think I'll simply let you walk away from me? I'm not walking away. I'm stepping into my own future. And it doesn't include you," Emily replied fiercely, each word sharpening her resolve. Linda opened her mouth to retort, but her words dissolved into confusion as Emily's friends stepped forward, asserting their solidarity. "Together," Sarah cried, holding Jason's hand for support. "We'll stand by Emily no matter what you try next, Linda." The diner buzzed with energy as murmurs and cheers filled the space. There was an undeniable shift in the air. The weight of the moment was turning. With each passing second, Emily found clarity amidst the chaos. Before Linda could respond, Emily pivoted toward the crowd. "I've spent too long silenced by someone who seeks to keep me down. This community has lifted me up. I finally see that I am more than a reflection of my past. I am the author of my own life." The room erupted into applause, and for the first time, Emily felt a lightness threatening to lift her off the ground. Linda's expression turned to disbelief, the structure of her control crumbling with every supportive gesture from the townsfolk. "Emily, you'll regret this," Linda hissed, her voice a low whisper, but her facade was slipping. "No, I won't," Emily countered, a radiant smile growing on her face. "I've not just found my voice. I found my people." Each friend around her became a beacon every cheer, a powerful declaration that her past would not determine her future. With a final glare, Linda turned and staggered out of the diner, leaving the tension behind like a burst bubble. The applause resounded, filling Emily with warmth and unwavering support. "Emily," Jason called, pulling her into a heartfelt hug. "You did it." Tears began to well in her eyes, a blend of overwhelming emotion, release, and joy. The weight of her burden seemed to lift a little more as she realized that she had begun to break the cycle. Overwhelmed, she looked around at the smiling faces, their belief stitched into the fabric of her heart. In that moment, she knew she could face whatever came next, armed with the love and courage of the community that enveloped her like a vibrant shield. "I am ready for whatever comes next," Emily shouted, her voice echoing in the diner, defiant and jubilant. As excitement swelled around her, she felt the flutter of newfound possibilities embracing her, a bright path leading to a future forged by her own hands. And as she watched the sun break through the remnants of the storm, Emily realized she was free not just from Linda, but also from every seed of doubt, choosing to walk forward into her own hope-filled story, unafraid and empowered. This was only the beginning of her journey. Now it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.